Hello and welcome to Behind the Bar. So we've got a bit of an American whiskey extravaganza coming up for you. Today we're going to be looking at 5 of the best and my personal favourite whiskey cocktails. And then we've also got some kind of more in-depth chats on American whiskey coming up over the next few weeks. So if you like what you see, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button and then you won't miss anything. Today I'm joined by Fred Siggins, who is a whiskey expert and also semi-American. So I asked him to come along and help me bash out these 5 amazing whiskey cocktails. The Brooklyn, the Toronto, the Boulevardier, the Paper Plane and the Scofflaw. First off, we're going to hero Canadian whiskey. It tends to be a little bit overlooked, especially in cocktails, but this drink is called the Toronto. This is probably the kind of drink that people tend to think of with American whiskey.
Yep.
Is that a style that you like?
It is a style that I like. I think that as I've gotten a little bit older, my palate's maybe gotten a little bit more bitter. So I've started to gravitate towards drinks like the Toronto that have got that really nice kind of bitter herbal flavour profile.
So we're going for Canadian Club 20-year-old, and what that is mixed with is Fernet Branca, which is a really strong flavour. It's part of a family called Amaros. It's basically, a really kind of bittersweet, almost quite minty flavour going on in there. And then you've got your Angostura bitters. As I said, usually with cocktail bitters, it does just kind of lengthen your cocktail a little bit. And then some sugar syrup just to round it all out and provide a little bit of sweetness. So you do have 2 full shots of your Canadian Club in there, so 60 mils. So then we've got 15 mils of the Fernet Branca. This is quite a fun cocktail ingredient to kind of highlight some of that, kind of like the bitter orange notes and things coming through from the whiskey as well.
It's really good for settling your stomach if you've had a big meal.
Little digestif, and then you're like, it's medicinal as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's good for you.
And 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. This one we did have a little discussion about because orange twist is also accepted as your garnish in a Toronto. But I think, especially when you're kind of wanting to highlight that quite nice, mellow, kind of bright Canadian whiskey, having that kind of brighter citrus pop there probably makes more sense. As always, you want to put as much ice in your mixing glass as you can fit. Then you want to stir it by putting the back of the bar spoon against the inside of the glass and just kind of pushing the ice around. Good.
Delicious.
Grab your glass out of the fridge, use your julep strainer to hold the ice back, and you're just going to pour it in. Now we're just going to expel the oils over the top, so just give your twist a sharp fold over the top of your drink. And that'll just really brighten it up because obviously it's a pretty kind of boozy and full-on drink. Give it a little twist and pop it in your glass. The Toronto. So now you know.
The Brooklyn is probably my favourite Manhattan variation of all time. It's just got some beautiful complexity to it because of the different ingredients that we're using. We're going to use our Bulleit Rye, which is a very high rye content rye. I'm going to do 50 mils of that to start out with. And next we are going to go for 20 mils of dry vermouth, and we're going to go 20 mils of this one. The next ingredient is a French bitters called Amer Picon. So it's basically got sweet burnt orange flavors to it. Just going to do 7.5 mils. It is a pretty intense flavor, and this is really going to be the bitter element of the drink as well. Lastly, for a little bit of extra sweetness and to add another layer of flavor into this drink, we're going to use one of my favorite cocktail ingredients, which is Luxardo maraschino liqueur. And again, this is another quite intense flavor, so we're just going to do basically a little bit more than a bar spoon, so maybe 5 or 6 mils. What kind of garnish do you think we should use for this one?
I like an orange.
You like an orange on this one? No worries. So we're gonna bring out a little bit more of that kind of like rich burnt orange character that we're getting from the pecan.
Yes.
So we're gonna give this one a stir, plenty of ice, unnecessarily long bar spoon, always key to good cocktail making. get a taste.
I would love to. Banging.
Good?
Yeah.
I think this is like absolutely one of the most sessionable stirred down cocktails. We've got our little chilled cocktail glass there. Pop this one in. Give this orange a little twist over the top. Get some of those oils out. And there we go. There's a Brooklyn.
So now I know.
Oh, yeah, you do.
So this one is called the Boulevardier. Now we're going for Woodford Reserve in this one. Woodford is a little bit special because it's triple distilled, which makes it a little bit of a lighter body. And as much as this is obviously being made with a dark spirit, it is still kind of meant to be an aperitif style drink.
Absolutely. So that lighter body from the Woodford Reserve is going to work well with it.
Yeah. Because we are heroing American whiskey today, I'm going to do 40 mils of this and then 20 of your two other ingredients just to make sure that this really shines through. I like my fortified wines.
Absolutely.
I mean, I always think this kind of family of drinks, like, they're all delicious in whatever proportions you do generally, really, and that can be fun to play with as well. Then we're going for 20 mils of sweet vermouth. So then we've got obviously our classic bitter Campari, which is going to make it nice and pink as well. 20 mils of that. And as we all know, Campari's best friend really is a little bit of orange. So I'll do a little orange twist for this one. So I'm going to give this one a little stir. So obviously the general rule of thumb with cocktails is if something has citrus or juice in it, then you shake it. And then if it's all booze, then you stir it. And it's really a texture thing. Just pour this over the largest bit of ice you can find. Give your orange twist a good sharp fold over the top. When I'm serving things on the rocks, I tend to be lazy and just leave the twist kind of as is. I reckon the rustic look looks pretty good like that anyway. Just a nice big chunky bit. Boulevardier.
Oh, thank you. That's good. Still plenty of whiskey character, but nice and light. Very good. It's like a good summer whiskey drink.
Yeah. This one's more of a modern classic, and it's also just actually quite a modern way of looking at and using whiskey.
Absolutely. It's been invented probably within the last 10 years by a bartender by the name of Sam Ross, who's actually an Aussie boy. But this is one of the drinks of his that's really kind of taken hold and actually had some legs in the modern era.
It's actually light and bright and fresh and citrusy. So we are going to start by squeezing some fresh lemon juice. The recipe is a bit of a godsend to bartenders because it is just equal parts.
Yeah, very easy to remember.
So you start with 20 mils of freshly squeezed lemon juice. We're going to use Amaro Nonino, so another one of that really fun family of Amaros that we've talked about with both the Fernet Branca and Amer Picon. It does just go really well with whiskey because a lot of the fruit notes are pretty similar.
Definitely.
Aperol.
And again, Aperol's a little bit lighter in body and a little bit less bitter than Campari. So it works well in this drink with another bitters that's not quite so full on. 20
mils of that as well. And then again, because it is a modern classic, we do actually know what whiskey was used in the original recipe, and it was Elijah Craig. So we're just gonna fill our shaker tin with as much ice as you can fit in the small one here. Pop your tins together and shake as hard as you can. Grab out your little chilled coupe. Again, obviously you don't have to fine strain. Some people like it for that little bit of refreshment. And pop your little paper plane on there. Paper plane. So now you know.
This drink is sweet and bitter and citrusy and fresh, but also has that great whiskey character to it and really shows the diversity of American whiskey in a cocktail.
Yeah. So for our fifth and final American whiskey cocktail, we're going to do a Scofflaw. That's a funny name. Where does it come from?
So in 1924, the Boston Herald ran a competition amongst its readers to see if they could come up with a word that meant somebody who didn't pay attention to Prohibition, who continued to drink alcohol even though it was illegal. And the winning entry out of 25,000 different entries into that competition was the word Scofflaw. So this is another great example of where whiskey cocktails, and American whiskey cocktails in particular, can actually be really bright and fresh and summery and fruity. So because we are going for that sort of brighter, drier feeling with this cocktail, we're gonna start with rye whiskey. We're just gonna use wild turkey rye. We're gonna do 50 mils of this, so not quite 2 shots. And next we're going to use some Noilly Pratt dry vermouth, and we're gonna do 25 mils of that, so 2-to-1 whiskey to vermouth. Then for the sweet element of this drink, which is also gonna give it a beautiful pink color when we shake it up, we're gonna use some grenadine. Just a little bit of that syrup is gonna give some really nice sort of fruit and floral characteristics to this drink as well. So we've got about 10 mils of that to go in there. Next thing that's gonna go into this drink, again, to give a little bit more complexity and a little bit of bitterness as well, is some orange bitters. So we're just gonna do a couple of dashes of that, sort of hitting all the points of the palate. And then of course we need some citrus because it's really bright, fresh style of cocktail. So I'm just gonna squeeze some fresh lemon juice. All right, so we're gonna do about 15 mils of lemon juice in this one. You don't need heaps because most of those other ingredients are already quite dry. I'm gonna give this guy a shake. Get our chilled glass out. Lovely bright fresh color, and then squeeze our lemon twist over the top, get those oils out, and there we go. There is a Scofflaw cocktail.
This makes me want the sun to come out. So now you know how versatile American whiskey can be, and that there's really an American whiskey cocktail for every palate and every occasion. Maybe you should try some yourself. Which one are you gonna have?
I'm a creature of habit. I'm going straight for the Brooklyn. All right. How about you?
The Scofflaw.
Scofflaw. Cheers.